Hey, everybody. My name is Bonita Jean. Welcome to season 9 of the Education Concierge podcast. Look, unpack, pack it again, disrupt, dismantle it, throw it away, start over. We're just in that season. And we've been in that season here at the Education Concierge podcast. But now, as you know, we're going out finding people who are in education and entrepreneurship, people who have been in leadership, but they're in entrepreneurship, because this is where we're going. We know that things are changing. The tide has shifted. They drained the swamp, but the swamp was still muddy, and then they put in a new pool. All of the things are happening. But today I have an amazing young man, because you know how I feel. It's time for our old butts to get out of the way and let the young people lead us, but also mentor and guide them, but let them take the wheel. It's okay. They don't really need us. We're gonna be in the background. I have with me Joshua Berry. He is going to come on, introduce himself, and we're gonna unpack what he does to dismantle education, but then he's gonna tell us how he's rebuilding it. And we're gonna support him. So get ready, go get your favorite drink, go get your notebook, and come on into the house. I'll see you in a minute. All right. Hey Joshua, let me bring you in and bring you to the stage.
Hey, everybody. I'm Joshua Berry. I'm a tech founder, an educator, and I'm someone that deeply is committed to changing how young people access opportunity. I lead Fuel the Future platforms. I also run a nonprofit called Bridge the Gap. But right now, I'm especially proud to be building Assistive to come and talk to y'all about, how we're using our learning platform that redefines how we think about AI in education, not artificial, but assistive intelligence.
Hey, Joshua, welcome to the family.
What's up?
I'm a good old country girl in the South. You come into the house, take your shoes off, go wash your hands in the guest bathroom, not in my kitchen. I didn't know people didn't know that. Don't wash your hands in my kitchen sink unless you're in there cooking.
That's a southern thing I see. I was born in Detroit. I ain't never heard that.
Your Southern people from Detroit did not teach that?
I've never heard that.
Get your
I like it. I like that. I'm gonna use that, man.
shoes off, go to the guest bathroom, wash your hands there, because before you come into the kitchen, you cannot come into the kitchen until you wash your hands. The
I like
end. Now, because you're our guest, you just come in and you sit down, because we fix you a nice plate, and we're going to give you a tall glass of cold iced tea that is
Mm.
sweet, because green tea is a blasphemy, and we don't do that. Now that you're here, you already started, which I love, because this is why I tell you, get out the young people way. Why are we gatekeeping stuff? Joshua's on here. And Joshua, you said something that I want you to go back to and unpack. Normally we say AI, and automatically we're like artificial intelligence, our robot, Will Smith, like they're going to take over the Jetsons. But you said some. Tell me what you just said.
Yeah, so a long time ago, over a year ago, we decided that we weren't going to call it artificial intelligence, just because we're seeing that. I just feel like that's like this. First of all, it's like a misnomer. It's like a fear mongering word and reference to it's just like the some of those the productivity, the leverage, the assistance and augmentation that it brings. It's really not artificial. This is authentic intelligence that we can leverage as humans and fuel to produce creativity, produce productivity and things like that, where it's nothing about that is artificial, but instead it truly is assisting you to get things done. So we made the real choice to call it assistive intelligence. And then we actually rebranded our product to Assistive. It's named Assistive just to really convey, why we built it. And it's about augmenting human intelligence in the first place.
Thank you. Because you have done that, you have allowed a lot of people to make their mind open. And I thank you for that, because I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm like, wait a minute though. What he's saying is literally true. And I think that will help people who are scared, people who are reluctant. I think just a shift, because us English majors, we like a good word change. I think that shift in that word change, and even how you explained it, which is really true.
Yeah.
Those of us who use Chat GPT, I'm feeding you what I want to say, and you're just, it told somebody, said, is this like my mom would take my papers and she'd be like, turn your flow off. And she wouldn't change my words or what I was talking about. She would just fix the flow. And so that's why I think a lot of this is exactly what you're saying. It is, tell us, first, let me go back. Tell me how you got started into ed tech. That's what you're in. You're in
Yeah.
educational technology. Tell us how you got started.
So I actually, I got started originally in the education space through my nonprofit that I started 5 years ago. And that was, we weren't doing a lot of technology centric. Well, the entire organization, we wanted to teach students about coding. And yes, we were leveraging technology, code.org, different platforms and things like that. But, at the software company, I was working on like Web3 and, we had been working on something different, but I started to recognize that these students don't all learn the same.
Mhm.
Uh, and we needed a way to even manage and track what was happening at the nonprofit. So years ago, it started to make sense, and I was like, man, we need to like honestly build this a way to deliver our instruction that we're doing here just at the nonprofit. We had slides and videos, and we wanted to send them on like little assignments, but I mean, it did make sense for them to email me or my team, and how are we reporting and seeing everything. So that was really the beginning. But I spent a year as a substitute teacher, also just trying to get a feel for like what's happening in classrooms. Before long, it started to like at the end of that year, I really was like, nah, like the Web3 stuff is cool. We were able to exit, successfully on what was happening there. And at that point, I took my CTO, who wasn't my CTO on the first project, but I saw, just her talent, her passion for specifically education too. And just we spent 6 months talking about, hey, this is something that we want to address, and we think that we have some really cool ideas there. We had playing with ChatGPT for the first time. It was like, yo, this is where it's going. So these
Yeah.
two ends meet. Let's go. And we built that, additional team members. And on the other end of 3 years now, Assistive is already in classrooms, assisting teachers, allowing students to leverage the tool, but not to cheat or anything. Like we don't have a chatbot built in, but we do have crafted experiences that will ignite and spark authentic thought, authentic creativity, and onboard you to get those thoughts out, but not, again, it's not a chatbot. So it's not going to just do it for you.
So those was the education administrators, superintendents, department chairs, regional leaders, all of the people. I know you're over here trying to figure out what to do with the federal funding, but we still got to keep moving in the class. So we want to push our kids and produce kids who are technology ready and understand AI, artificial and the AI assistive, because that's where they're going. That's where the jobs are going. Let's just be real. There's an article out today or this week, I don't know when it was, where Bill Gates is like, hey, I think it's going to replace teachers. Now, of course, the teachers are like, no, because kids still need humans. But we already see it. We see several micro schools and innovative schools where students are on the computer the first half of the day, and they're like, there's one teacher or two. They don't even call them teachers, they're guides. They're not even allowed really to teach the kids. They're there to guide them and help answer questions and help them navigate through self directed learning. And so we're moving there, but they still need that human touch. Like you still need a hug. You need
So,
to
but
say,
that's so interesting you say that, because like the whole like the guides thing, I do think that, these like one aspect about like it being hard to accept for teachers today. I do actually imagine it's going to go like, think of it, that human element, it is so essential, right? So think of it like a guide or a coach. But,
mhm.
for us to cling onto like the last 100 years of how education was delivered, it's like, it clearly is about to be disrupted, but we're just, it's like, I've never seen it be done that way. So I just don't accept that that can be a thing. Well, the technology is moving so fast that like, you know, it for sure will look like that. It's a matter of when the acceptance happens. But we already are experiencing a large teacher shortage, and there's multiple reasons that go into it. But it's like when we talk about alleviating why some of that teacher burnout is happening, and, this, that, or the other, it boils down to letting the teachers actually focus on the human pieces, the grading, admin work, and all these things. Actually, a computer probably does that better and can allow you and empower you with all of these insights that allow you to do that human piece a lot better. And now you have time to go home that night instead of grading for 4 hours. Spend time with your daughter. Spend time with your partner, and y'all can have dinner. That you can have quality time and rest and understand that the AI that's fully assisting you has made that workload that might have been 50% of your time 5 years before this, it's going to free you up to be a human and experience time with your students. So, it's just a lot of people that they've never seen it that way. So it's hard to wrap their head around it. But I really, if I put myself 5 years into the future, there's just there's no world where I don't see it being like that.
And I appreciate you saying that. I think I appreciate the honesty. And sometimes we always think, oh, you're there just an ed tech. But I love that you let us know, no, I was in the classroom for a year.
Yeah.
And anybody that's like, oh, he was only a substitute. Have you ever substituted? Because I want you, if you've never substituted, don't say, oh, he was only a substitute, because um it is not easy. It is very difficult. Sometimes you have great administration who support you, a department chairs, a department team. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes they literally just want a warm body in the room when you're trying to walk in and literally do what the teacher has left. And kids are going to be kids. Let's all remember that we were children at one time and how we acted with a substitute. I'm just gonna say I wasn't always the greatest.
I didn't play that. I didn't play none of them games, but there was such a mutual respect in the context of like I was, yeah, like these are young people that ultimately they want to be there. They want to have, like nourishment into their minds. And I ultimately didn't want to hinder anything. I just wanted to uplift and elevate them on their journey, because educational journeys are like they're super important. And it's like, always trying to remind these students why you're here. It's not so that the school can get funding. I mean, some situations are crazy. It's about like, hey, like this can be a launch pad to your future. And when I was having those conversations and them seeing me being, at the time I was, early, like literally like 22, they were
Right.
like, you're young, you're here, like I could really relate to you. And so I was just trying to pour into them, and they saw that my intention was very clear. Hey, like I really think that there's so much opportunities, for you in your future. And be a steward in your life. So it was actually a really great experience. I really enjoyed that.
That. Okay, so I was sitting here and you're talking, and I'm like, back in my day, and I'm trying to laugh because my students would joke me. They were like, "Oh, you better tell a story." Back in your day, I was like, "Be quiet." This didn't happen outside of Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
What you're doing? It did not happen on the East Coast. Maybe New York, couple of little people there. But this didn't happen over here, and definitely didn't happen outside with a black male. How can you use that, or how are you using that? Because I know you already had your nonprofit. You were already pouring into the students. You were already pouring into the community, and I love that because you were already young. And I was like, look at them, they doing it. That's like yeah, people don't know. I'm like, look, let the kids lead us. They're gonna ask the questions, we answer them, and then we support them because we do know some things. We know how to pull some strings in the background, but let them follow you. How do you see that as we're progressing now? When you hear people and they're just like, oh, this generation, and I'm like, do you know this generation? Like, are you just saying it because you might see, one story about something, but you didn't see the other 15 stories about them starting a GoFundMe or pulling the kid out of the fire, or raising money for the playground because they realized that their friends in wheelchairs couldn't play with them because the playground wasn't ADA, rules and guides. And so how do you, and you touched on it a little bit, how do we move forward and still in technology and still keep that human piece? And how will your program assist that? Assistive. How will assistive assist that?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways that we could address that. And I appreciate you sharing. You're right. So, like initially, as you phrased that question, like Silicon Valley was actually where all of these innovative ideas were coming from, and all of the money was heading out that way more so than anything. And there wasn't like young black founders. I mean, really, still to a point, still feel like an anomaly being a young black founder, especially in this space. And we set out to really be an example, right? I asked young kids, who in the tech space, like you all use apps, you all use devices, and like, like who do you look up to that looks like you in the tech space? And the kids look, for take them minutes to basically come back to me and say, "Oh, I can't think of anybody. How about you?" I'm like, "Well, that's the point. I can't be the only one." You know what I mean? Um, I will say that, with our product, and what we set out to do and on our take on AI, it was about understanding that, we can challenge this idea that learning is one size fits all. It doesn't, like, assistive is it's not just digitizing school for the sake of, hey, I just want to access it. I just want to access my school, but outside of the classroom, it instead is giving educators power and agency to personalize that learning, because these students, I think that if you don't have confidence, you don't have any, like, you won't reach competence. It's really that simple. If a student is not confident in their learning, so if we can empower teachers to deliver personalized experiences that can
Yeah.
take into account what a student is interested in, and then still delivers that anchored knowledge that they set out to teach, now we're going to start seeing high efficacy. Now we're going to start seeing engagement rates at new levels, and this wasn't possible before. We have, like, LLMs and natural language processing that can essentially in real time conversing with students, like basically tutoring them and augmenting their journey. Like, it's really incredible to me. But essentially, when we talk about how my platform is different and what values that we're being able to deliver, again, giving educators the power and agency to personalize their learning, to manage their classrooms more effectively. And I mean, even in the context of grading assignments, just having some of those hours back faster through a mix of automation and real-time insights. Now I'm equipped every single day across 30 students. I know how to meet them where they are instead of the guesswork. And then realistically, I spent, as a long-term sub, just 25 to 30 students. There's no world where I can build authentic relationships where I know and I can go hyper personalize or have the context of that student from 2 weeks ago. So I forgot, learned 24 other stories that are just floating in my head and are out the door. You know what I mean? We want to be able to have our platform be able to house all of that information, deliver it to you in real time, and allow you to um, have actionable insights that allow you to craft a better experience for your students. And then for your students, they absolutely can identify and relate to any and everything that they're learning, because our platform is learning how they want to learn, how they need to learn every single time that they're logged in.
So I'm sitting here like, no, I do not want to come back to the classroom. But like, oh my God. Because in my head, I'm like, and I would tell my students all the time, I say, I promise you, I want to stay alive long enough to see like the Iron Man classrooms. And they would start laughing, like, what? And I'm like, when the teachers would just go, and across the screen, it's like, okay, Joshua, you need to finish this. And Bonita, you need to finish this. You just snatch it out of the air and throw it in your computer and you do it. And I finish it. And they would laugh at me. They were like, "That's cool." Like, and I was like, "No, right? That's like where we're headed." And I see it, closer and closer every day. And I was like, "Oh, Black Panther, where you do your lab like the sister runs her lab, and then that's how you do your clinicals and become doctors and dentists, and we see that like even here, UT has a CHIPS program, but a whole building 3 floors is nothing but simulation, and they use it for dental students, the nurses, and the doctors. And I tell you, we're exposing our 11th graders to it now, so that they can see what's out there in the medical field or medical adjacent jobs. Like we need IT. We need somebody to do what you're doing to create the programs to make the mannequins run smoother. And so I love this. I want to go back. I want to unpack 2 more things, and then we're going to get to the next part of the podcast.
Let's do it.
One thing I want to unpack is you said something important. I say it all the time to everyone. And I think I say it now more because I'm moving into the innovative education space and a micro school and a homeschool space and a homeschool hybrid. But you said teachers have to let go of how we were teaching 100 years ago. And I'm not, we don't even have to go 100 years ago. If you are still trying to teach like you did pre-COVID, you are teaching wrong. And I said it. And if you don't like it, come for me. Joshua didn't say this. I said it. And I love that when I'm listening to you and knowing assistive, one of the things I try and get educators to understand is that I'm not giving you more work. I'm giving you something that's going to help you. And I love how you framed it. Instead of having 15 hours or 50 hours of work to do, we're helping you decrease that time to show you what a work life balance looks like. So
Yeah.
now in class, I can focus on my students' social emotional learning because we all know that that's something we need to focus on. Excuse me, mental health, engagement, those soft skills that they are now lacking. I come in and I keep assisting with that. And I love that because I can see it in my head already. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is how it needs to work. But as an educator, and as educators, I'm speaking to you guys, we
Yeah.
have to release the reins. And it's okay. And it's going to be scary. I promise you, I had to unlearn so much stuff last year and relax. All right. I love that you said that. So we're going to go into the next part, and we call it this or that. So you probably heard that song way back in the day from the 1900s. And you can get with this or you can get with it.
So you
Like,
could get with this, so you could get with that. I
yeah,
got you. I
right. I
got
love it. So in this one, we call it concierge crossroads, this or that. So I'm going to give you a statement, this one or that one, and you can pick. And because we're an education podcast, I know my educators, and sometimes it can be like both. And I'm like, cool beans. Explain why they answer that. And I also take that. It's not as rapid for some people as it is for others, but either way, it's acceptable. All right, take a deep breath. You ready?
you.
I love it. All right. Traditional classroom, a hybrid learning hub.
Hybrid all day.
Got it. Standardized tests or portfolios.
Portfolios.
Textbooks or TikTok tutorials.
TikTok tutorials if they're done right.
Yes. STEM or STEAM.
And I say that because that I've ran over 100 workshops in STEAM workshops. That A is the onboarding. That's the entryway for so many students that maybe not aren't as confident in the STE or in, but that A, hey, I can start with art, and that's the entryway that could unlock art. It can definitely intersect with science. Art can intersect with technology, NFTs, things like that. So that A is essential for all of them students that just need the entryway. Once they're in and you got them, the educational journey can begin on the other stuff.
How you explain that. Thank you. I love that. I'm going to steal that. Behavior charts or restorative circle.
Start
Mentorship or coaching.
coaching. Well, dang. The mentorship is essential. Let's go coaching in the context of in the classroom, but I think, yeah, that's a difficult one. I'm gonna go coaching just to make it simple, but mentorship is so essential.
True. So you can say both.
Both, yeah, both. That one, both.
All right. Global projects or local impact projects.
Global projects with local roots. That grassroots that can grow.
I love that. Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person on weekdays, night owl on launch days.
Okay, I'll take that. Yes. Audiobooks or
Let's go podcast. I love a good podcast.
podcast? Okay. Sweats and sneakers or blazers and loafers.
Hey, you see what's happening. I'd like to be comfortable, sweats and sneakers, some cool J's. I got some Yeezys, yeah, definitely. When I was a sub, I used to just, of course, I wouldn't show up in sweats per se, but I always bought a cool pair of sneakers. That was one of them things where they was like, oh yeah, we can. I want to lock in. I'm not gonna do too much. I'm not gonna be a disruptor. Like, hey, Mr. Josh, I want you to, what I'm saying? I want to show you my sneakers, and I'm like, bet, show me them. I get to work. And it was that kind of rapport. It was honest. It was incredible.
Of that because I remember teaching in school. We had a lot of black men. The most black men I've ever seen in one building. Teaching administrators, deans, mental health workers, everything. And of course, it was strategic. But they had their shoe game, like they really like trying to outshoe each other. And the kids loved it. And then they would come to my room. They're like, I was like, oh, I got all these flip flops. You need to get out of my face. And I was like, I've never owned a pair of Jordans. These kids, so we go start a GoFundMe. So you can, and I was like, that's not where I spend my money. So then one of the girls one day, she said, came in and I was putting my stuff away and she was in my room, saw me or something. And she came in class later on. She said, I figured out why Miss Gordon doesn't buy Jordans. And I was like, you did? Because I just don't like them. I don't like them on my feet. I think they just look weird to me. But I didn't tell them that. She said, because she rolling around here with these Coach purses. I said, wait a minute. even though what kind of person. She said, I saw you when you walked in this morning. She said, because you always have your stuff up by the time we come. She said, but Miss Gordon, she walked in with this nice Coach bag. She said, y'all didn't see it. She said, I saw it. She said, and I know how much it costs. And I said, you're in my business. Look,
Hey, well, that student clearly as an analyzer, so hopefully
man,
she did great in school. Obviously, she probably
amazing
her
young lady. She was
okay.
an, yeah, she was an amazing young lady. And like you
Yeah.
said, you build a relationship with them because you could joke and laugh and be like, get to work. But this conversation had been like the beginning of the year. Like,
Okay.
here it is. It's like right before spring break. And she was like, I figured it out. I was like, so you've been trying to figure it out, though? She was like, yeah. I was like, I forget about that conversation. I'm not going to buy a pair of Jordans. And it's okay. I love watching y'all. And she's like, yeah, I'll take pictures of their shoes the first day of school, or if they got a new one, I'll
Right.
post it in class. I'm like, oh, whose sneakers are, whatever. But you're right. That's how you build a relationship. Um, that's just one aspect of it. Like the kids are like, what purse you got today? Same purse, yeah. It's on Target, okay? Just leave me alone. What are you talking about? All right, I love that. So what would be two things? What would be your call to action for our listeners right now to help everyone reimagine education?
If you're an educator, a district leader, somebody who just believes in innovation in the classroom, go to our website, FTF Platforms and .com, and see what we're building. See how you can join our movement, how you can support AI in classrooms. I'm not seeing a lot of other companies that are. It's inevitable, right? And we started to see that years ago, so we started getting on it immediately. But there absolutely is going to be this like movement. All it's going to feel like all of a sudden. But I tell you, like my company, we're positioning ourselves to be a, what do they call it, a 3 year or 4 year overnight success. But let's reimagine education that works for all of us, and that means getting familiar with those tools starting now. I think that no more than 2 years away from today, AI will be in over 50% of all classrooms in the nation. We just so happen to put ourselves in position to win some of those contracts initially. There are preliminary conversations with a Dallas ISD, Houston ISD. These are in the works, and I'm excited to see what it looks like to be in 50 states.
I love it. I am excited. You know me, I want you to be everywhere working with charter schools, the homeschool hubs, the micro schools, going to global, working with schools in our school in Sierra Leone that I'm on the board of Army Academy, going to Ghana, working with some friends over there who run schools. So we're excited about what your company is bringing to education to ensure that it's reimagined and it is moving forward. Like we can't afford to go back and we can't afford to stay where we are. We're already behind. We're already behind. So thank you, Josh. Okay, so as we get ready to wrap up, I want you to tell us, how can we find you? How can we connect with you? How can we invite to have a discussion with you and your team, your founders? How do we go about getting you in our classrooms, in our districts, paying you so that you can continue to grow and thrive? And then when you finish that, I want you to close us out. And so the way we close it out is I grew up in a church called Little Shallow Baptist Church on Otterdam Road in Jarrett, Virginia. What Virginia? Stuff I said beautiful. And you are the guest pastor. The doors of the church are open. And we have already done all the things that we do in the churches. But you need to give us a word to encourage us for the rest of the week. Because that's what our guest pastor does. So you're gonna tell us how to how to connect with you, and then I want you to close us out.
Beautiful. Yeah. My social medias are Josh Berry Zero. That's on, like, I think my Facebook, Instagram, things like that. TikTok. I'm not really on TikTok a lot, but um, those are yeah, Josh Berry Zero. And then connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn. I'm always posting there. Josh Berry Zero. I think I'm on X. I don't really use that app either. Our website, ftfplatforms.com. Fuel the Future Platforms. Super proud of what we're doing here. I think, yeah, go and find a way to connect with us. We, literally go to Google, look up Fuel the Future, and then maybe education, and you'll see a bunch of links and some articles on us and things like that. But I do want to, like, in the context of when we close out, like, one of the biggest experiences in my last few years, over 5 years, running two organizations, I have definitely been able to pick up a big piece that I love sharing when I get the opportunity to. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Greatness is in the agency of others. When we give people the tools and the space to be great, we all win. So empower somebody this week and let's build the future together.
Oh my God. I love it. Thank you so much, Joshua Bear. Family. Joshua's now family. So Joshua, the next time you come to the house, you fix your own plate.
Yeah, take my shoes off, wash my hands, get a plant.
Come on in the kitchen, fix your own plate, okay?
And
That's what you have to do. And we do not have unsweetened tea, so don't ask. Just add some water to your tea. Get half a thing of tea and then just add some water. I love it. Season 9, everyone, Joshua Berry, support him. Subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be on YouTube. We are on all podcast platforms. This is season 9. Oh my gosh. So, we get better as we reimagine, as we disrupt, as we dismantle, and then we put it all together. See y'all later.
thanks so much, Bonita. Have a blessed one.
You too.